I thought today would be a great day to wear the Sorare hat. I haven't worn it much since getting it because it's a prized possession. Not many people have them, so I thought I'd flex it on today's video. Now, yesterday we got a huge update on Sorare regarding the roadmap and their plans for the next season on Sorare and the updates they want to bring. And there was a lot to unpack. I have a stream on the channel that's about 3 hours long of us just talking about my initial thoughts, but it was too much to put an initial thought video out for me. So I wanted to sleep on it and I wanted to think about exactly what we're looking at and exactly what the update means and my thoughts on it. Now, I wanted to firstly say, I think this update came far too soon. Well, for the most part, I think there were small updates in there that were important and we needed before the summer, but I think that this update came far too soon for the most part. Given the fact that earlier this year, we got the collection bonus update and we got the cap modes update, I don't think we needed a huge update in regards to XP and changing those modes just yet. It just doesn't seem like the right time. This is an update I would think would go down a little bit better in early 2024, and maybe it's something that could be revisited and could be thought about, but it just feels like we've just had a big change to the game this year and getting another one just doesn't feel right. I know a lot of people over the summer have been planning their galleries for the current game and how it works, and getting a big roadmap update isn't ideal at this stage. I think either you bring this out at the start of summer or you bring it out at the start of 2024. I think a roadmap update at this stage realistically should have been Cash Wallet's coming, we're not changing SO5, we're not doing Saudi League, and season bonus stops in September. I don't think we needed the rest of it right now. I think that, you know, for the current users who I think are as important as onboarding new users, it probably would have been a lot better if we just didn't do this update right now. Maybe if we'd allowed people to have their strategies for the new season starts and work, or maybe not work, I think the sentiment would have been a lot more positive. But let's jump into the actual update itself and talk about some of the portions of the update that I want to talk about. Now, the first thing is obviously the training and physio section. Now, to me, it seems like they are looking to build something onto Sorare that will allow us to spend more time on the game and actually have something to do on the platform. It seems like they want to have an area in which you build a stadium so you can invest time into building your physio center or your training center. And whilst maybe they have analytical data that suggests people spending more time on Sorare will make them spend more money, or maybe they have analytical data that suggests just spending more time on the platform is positive, or maybe it's just for the additional revenue streams. I don't know, but to me, that's what I gather. Now, a lot of people have different ideas on this, and I have no idea. And obviously, that this whole point could be moot if when we get more information, it's absolutely nothing to do with that. But it's just what I gather from it. At the moment, there isn't a whole lot to do on Sorare. You build your lineups, then you go onto Sorare data, right? Then you open your rewards, then you go onto Sorare data. We pretty much only use Sorare itself for bidding on players, buying players, building lineups. I don't personally spend a huge amount of time on Sorare itself. I spend most of my time on Sorare data. So to have areas within Sorare where you spend more time, it kind of makes sense to me. But at the same time, is it becoming a bit too gamified? Is it a bit too gimmicky? I think reasons for the change in this and the fitness and the training, the video, whatever, I think obviously adding a new revenue stream is not a bad thing. I have nothing against Sorare adding a new revenue stream. In fact, it's probably really beneficial to add a new revenue stream for Sorare because the way the model works could be looked at as a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme. You know, the fact that they are only selling cards and the game only benefits if the game grows and the cards gain value if the game grows and whatnot. Like, if there is ever a time where growth halts, cards deplete massively and we are left there in a financial struggle with our galleries because our cards have all gone down. You know what I mean? So it's like, it kind of, it's a benefit. And I think also from a business perspective, they can take that to investors and say, hey, we don't just have the card revenue, we also are selling physio packs, we're selling stadium expansions, we're selling training expansions, you know what I mean? So like there's more revenue streams, but I feel like there is an area in Sorare where you can find more revenue streams than just small packages on the game. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not within Sorare's marketing or development team. So I'm just a Sorare user, right? And I have no idea. It's just my initial thoughts. And I feel like additions like this actually bring quite a lot of harm. So the sentiment within the community, for the most part, and the people that I talk to and follow on Twitter and see that are really vocal, and granted, it's not the whole community, it's just people on Twitter, is we need to bring more users in. We need to onboard more users. We need more people on the platform. And whilst I do agree, growth is definitely incredibly important for Sorare, we are forgetting that arguably the most important people on Sorare are the existing users, because they're the people that have built this platform up by investing their money. They are the initial people that were part of early growth mechanics and growth schemes to get this platform higher. Like, those people have their financial, they have their money invested in the game. Like, they are financially tied to this game. They have money, they have skin in the game, effectively. And to bring updates like this that might deter some of those users, never a good thing. Sorare Mega is a prime example. I know a lot of people that stopped playing Sorare Mega the moment they added in small gimmicky like boots and shirts and things you could buy to boost your score. And although it's not the same thing, and I actually don't think fitness, for example, is going to have a huge update on gameplay, it's still enough to the point where it's taking away from the fantasy football aspect and making it incredibly gimmicky. And it's ironic because yesterday I was telling people I don't think fitness is a huge issue, you know, it's not going to have a huge impact on the game. The more I think about it and the more I've slept on it and think and process and think about different areas, like the more I think, like, we have a lot of older people on Sorare that are early adopters that have come in, that have a lot of money onto Sorare. Like, I know a lot of those guys aren't going to be wanting these gimmicky FIFA-like updates, and it begs the question to what target market are these updates geared for? It feels very FIFA-y, and although Sorare yesterday was saying, you know, Ultimate Team is nothing like Sorare and whatnot, and I agree with that, like, you need to realize these kind of updates, calling it things like fitness and training and physio and stuff, it feels very gamey, and is that really the target demographic we're going for? Are we going for like a younger demographic here? Are we going for a demographic that want to go and train a card or build their fitness? Like, to me, it just doesn't seem like it's the most sensible option. And I think there are definitely other areas we could explore. Now, obviously, like I said, I'm not part of the Sorare team, right? So I can sit here and say this, but I don't know if they've sat there and explored 500 different options in a boardroom at like knuckling down, spending nights like not sleeping, going through different areas, and this is what they've come up with. I don't know, like, but for me it just feels like we should also be thinking about the older players and the existing users as well as new users, and we should also be thinking about these updates and sort of what effect they have. Because I saw yesterday the sentiment was, oh, this game's becoming more complex, and I disagree massively. Like, complexity is not an issue for onboarding new users. When I got involved in Sorare, it was already really complex and it took me time to learn it. But there are people that are going to want to learn the game, and you can market to those people as well. We don't just need to get casuals on this game, and we don't just need to cater everything towards casuals. And I think that adding complexity to this game and adding depth to this game is massive. But I don't think this is the way to do it. Now, another issue I have when it comes to fitness is it just seems a little bit unnecessary. Adding an extra 10% right after we've just had a collection bonus 5% potential doesn't seem necessary. And to me, adding it or not adding it has zero effect on the game, right? Because yes, scores effectively go up 10%, but it's blanket. Everyone gets that extra 10% on their fitness cards, right? I don't think this adds any new strategy. And I would happily sit here and argue till I'm blue in the face that this does not add a strategical level of thinking to the game. Because if you can just buy fitness packs, how is that a new strategy? There is nothing intelligent about this added to the game for managers, right? Like, there is no, unless there's some way that they've thought this through that I don't know, to me, I don't see how adding a 10% fitness bonus that goes down when you play a player and goes up when you don't play a player is somehow this, like, genius level of strategy. I'll just go and buy a fitness pack for my Josh Kimmich if he goes down because he's had a midweek game and a weekend game. Or, when he's rested, he's just back up to 10% again. So it's like, to me, it just doesn't seem logical or necessary. And I think that the more XP you add, it takes away from the score of the actual player. When I got involved in Sorare, for me, I loved it because it was like what players do on the pitch. It's completely changed the way I watch football. I used to only watch football and celebrate a goal and be angry when my team conceded, and that was it. Now I appreciate how in depth some of these players play, like for example a Joshua Kimmich, the fact that he can rack up 4 or 5 tackles in a game, 2 or 3 interceptions, and win fucking 8 duels or something, right? Like, I have an appreciation for how hard that player works and how much he does for the team, how important and integral he is. It's really broadened my horizon, but now it's going from a point of I'm now excited to see a 3rd interception on my Josh Kimmich and a triple for him to get 86 AA. Now that's becoming like 105 points with the new bonus without even being a captain. It's like, it's just a bit too much for me. I think that we don't need an extra 10%. And although yesterday I was sort of saying, you know, it doesn't make a huge difference, and in reality it doesn't make a huge difference, it's just a bit much, you know? And I don't think it's something for new users. I don't think this is too complex for new users. I think actually on Sorare itself, it's very basic. You don't even see the percentage bonuses on the cards from the score. So if you went to the past game week and you looked at your team and how they scored, it just shows a score and it doesn't actually break down anything unless you click on it to see a further breakdown. So there's nothing more complex about it, and I've no issue with that. It's not too confusing or anything like that. That's complete rubbish. It's just the fact that it's like we're just taking away from the actual fundamental area of the fantasy sport now. We're taking away from the fact that it's what the players do on the pitch that has an impact on your score. I don't mind the 5% collection bonus. I think it's a little bit pay to win, but it, you know, I quite like it. It's fun, and also if you support a team, it's really fun to have extra players from those teams and whatnot. And also it generates more revenue for Sorare because it gives people a reason to go and buy those tier 5s that no one was buying originally. I just think that adding an extra 10% right after the 5% collection bonus is both unnecessary and we just don't need it. We really just don't need it. And to reiterate a point I made earlier on in the video, it's coming right after we've just had cap modes introduced and people have genuinely built their galleries to make complete sense with cap mode. And although Sorare put a graph on there saying it won't impact cap mode at all, there will be small gameplay impacts. Like, it will have impacts on gameplay very slightly, and it will impact some people that maybe have a gallery that makes a lot of sense right now, that in September they might need to buy a different player or sell a different player, and that can actually be detrimental for some people because it could mean the difference between playing in a game week and not playing in a game week, which might not seem like the biggest issue, but for some people, not playing a game week with the potential of maybe getting the $5 or the $50 in rare or limited cap 240, like that extra $50 could help that guy's gallery massively. It could be another purchase to play in the game week following after, right? Like, we shouldn't ever, and I saw a couple of people saying yesterday, like, oh, you know, it's not a big deal if they can't play in a game. It is, in my opinion. Like, if I can't play in a game week, I'm so bored for that week, and I'm so upset that, like, not crying or anything like that, but like, it's not fun not having a team in a game week, especially if you have players that can play. So that's just my 2 cents in regards to fitness. I don't think it's necessarily a game breaking or game ruining mechanic. I don't think it's a huge issue. I just think, like, it's just a bit unnecessary. And if they'd have brought this out in January 2024, I think my sentiment would have been a little bit different. I'd have been like, yeah, whatever, it's new to the game. We've had a whole year of cap modes, a whole year of how it works, a whole year of collection bonus. Now we've got a new thing that we'll have for another whole year. That's fair enough, but bringing it out now, to me, is just not the right time. Long-term SO5 game modes, amazing. I think it's actually a massive win. It's something that we've been looking for a while, and I'm actually a big fan of it. There is absolutely zero issue on my end, apart from the only thing that I will say, it just further enforces that All-Star should be the focus for everyone, and to me, that doesn't seem right. Like, what's the point in having regional competitions if All-Star is the focus? That to me doesn't make a huge amount of sense. I actually think having this game mode in All-Star is great, but one thing they should be focusing on, in my opinion, is incentivizing people to play in the regional competitions. And one of the ideas I tweeted, and it's a few community members have had the same idea, it's adding the same level of Ethereum payouts, or maybe less level, but adding Ethereum payouts to regional comps as well. Champion Europe is like the creme de la creme. It's the top 5 leagues in the world. It's what everyone watches. You've got your Mbappes, your Neymars, your Bruno Fernandes, your Kimmiches and whatnot. All the most expensive cards on the platform most of the time are Champion Europe, if not all the time, Champion Europe. Realistically, that region especially needs some love, but also some of the Challenger Europe and those kind of regions also need some love. Like, what I'm noticing a lot is people are just building their teams, and it could be a full Champion Europe team, but they're not going to play it there because you don't get an extra $50 if you finish top 100 there, or an extra $25 if you finish top 500 in limited, or whatever it is. So, like, it doesn't make sense to me to continuously push this idea that All-Star is the only competition you should ever play. I think that if we could show some love to rewards in the regional comps as well, it has a massive impact on the site too. I think that it has a effect where you would find a lot more people being encouraged to buy more lineups, which means buying more cards, which could affect the market positively. And I think it's overall a win-win. Sorare have been taking a 5% tax from us now in the secondary market. I don't know where that money's going, but I'm sure we could figure out a way to put some of that money into added rewards in Champion Europe. I think the Academy rewards made 0 sense to me. And if Academy's going for the new training, which seems like it's going, we have what, $500 for top 3 and $5 for top 500 there every week. There you go. There's your Ethereum payouts added on to Champion and Challenger Europe, for example. So like, to me, I think that, you know, giving some love to regional competitions is definitely something that is well overdue and something that they don't seem to be focusing on and something they should be focusing on. But all in all, I think long-term SO5 game modes also make sense. And the way they're doing it is really cool too. I'm a big fan of the way they're doing it. I think that, like, it makes sense. And from reading it, a lot of people seem to think they're going to be taking rewards away from All-Star Rare, for example, and putting it into the long-term mode. I don't think that's how it's going to work. I just think balancing means they're going to make sure that the long-term game mode isn't ridiculously overpowered and the short-term game mode is not ridiculously overpowered. It's just balance between the two rather than taking one from the other. So that's kind of my thought process on the updates. Now, there were a few different things in the updates that I haven't really covered because I don't think it's necessary. I think, you know, Fiat Wallet coming soon is pretty cool. The kickoff mode is kind of cool. My only concern, again, reading Nicholas's tweets yesterday, was he was replying to a lot of people saying kickoff mode will solve this, kickoff mode will solve that, and I'm hoping they have massive plans for kickoff mode, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. But you can't just market to casuals. Like, we did a huge marketing campaign during the Global Cup, and it really did not impact the game that much at all. We got a lot of free-to-play users on there, but how many people, first of all, stayed, and how many people are still playing free-to-play? How many people then invested into the product with their own money? Like, that's what I would love to know. And obviously we can't really get those details. Like, companies can't just give us analytical data like that, but I mean, they can see it, and I'm hoping that they see it and they, you know, have plans. I do trust the guys at Sorare. I trust that they're making the right decisions and whatnot, but I do fear that if the only onboarding strategy is going to be another free-to-play game mode, that's just not going to work. I really do think that there are a lot of people out there that we could get that would love to play the entire spectrum of the game or the platform. They would love to put, like, they would love how complex it is. They would love how in-depth it is, because I love how in-depth it is. You love how in-depth it is, and it didn't deter us to playing the game. And there are definitely millions of people out there that love football that are also would love how in-depth it is, and getting away from the crypto side of things will massively help with onboarding those users. But I don't want to only focus on onboarding free-to-play users again, because although that might help growth with numbers on the platform, it does not help the overall platform. And if you're going to sacrifice what you've built for years to bring in more free-to-play users to grow the platform that way, I think the whole thing goes to shit. I mean, that's just my opinion, obviously, and I don't know what you know, so you might know a lot more than I do, and that's absolutely fine. And if you have reasons to believe that this will work or that work, or you have the analytical data, then I'll shut my mouth, because I actually don't know as much as you do. I'm just speculating and giving my thoughts on what we know. And sometimes that's good, but also sometimes it's bad, because having these very, very vague and very vague is definitely the word, right? Like, having these very vague updates with 1 or 2 months before the update comes out with absolutely no information or details on how everything works, it's not a good thing. Like, it does not give us confidence. We don't get confidence from these updates. There are some updates you can give with a week or two's notice, like Fiat Wallet's coming soon, or we're not changing SO5, or we're not gonna cover the Saudi League. You can give that with a couple of weeks notice, and we don't really care about that. But dropping a massive bomb with big changes to the platform without any detail, like, it just does not give us confidence. So they're my thoughts anyway. I do trust the Sorare people. I've met a lot of people that work at Sorare. I've obviously, I went to Paris and did an event with them, and it was really fun. And they are some great people. Some of the people behind Sorare are amazing. I absolutely love them to bits, and I love the platform to bits as well. I really trust them, and I really see this platform being massive. I just have my own concerns, obviously, and I think everyone has their concerns. And I would love to know more. That is the God's honest truth. I would love to know more. Now, I appreciate with NFT insider trading and whatnot, people can't play Sorare that also work for Sorare. I don't know how that works with focus groups, but if there was some way you could run updates through the community before we get a big update like this, that would be great. I don't see Sorare rolling back or running back any of these updates, but potentially changing or tweaking things or pushing them further in advance. I don't know. But yeah, they're my concerns. They're the pros and cons I see with this update. If there's anything I've missed, let me know in the comments down below. We can maybe make another video. But they are the most important areas of the update that I wanted to cover and my thoughts on it. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate you. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.